All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Alexander Usyk, after his win over Anthony Joshua, passes up both Terence Crawford and Errol Spence on the ring pound for pound list, but doesn't pass up Canelo Alvarez. Seems like a little bit of funny business to me. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to talk a little bit of hypothetical boxing right now. It is about the pound for pound list, and specifically about the one that has come out, probably the one of the more respected, probably the most respected pound for pound list out there amongst general fans, and that is the Ring Magazine's pound for pound list. Personally, I don't give it a lot of credence, but you know, hey man, it is definitely something that a lot of people talk about and they put stock in. So I just noticed, I got a tweet that that said that they had updated their pound for pound list after Alexander Usyk beat Anthony Joshua. Now, first and foremost, Alexander Usyk is an excellent fighter. He definitely deserves a lot of credit for the win over Anthony Joshua. I do not have a problem with anybody thinking that Alexander Usyk is a very, very good fighter. I have a problem with the fact that he passed up Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., but he didn't pass up Canelo Alvarez, because any way that I look at it, if you move Canelo Alvarez past those two guys, you have to move him past Canelo Alvarez too. Pretty much by any argument that I can see. And trust me, with pound for pound lists, there's a whole bunch of arguments and a whole bunch of reasons, a whole bunch of criteria that people have for why they put somebody on the list. Personally, I would not put Alexander Usyk on that list at all. I wouldn't put him on that list. I wouldn't put Anthony Joshua on that list. I wouldn't put Deontay Wilder on that list. I wouldn't put Tyson Fury on that list. I wouldn't put anybody on that list that is an actual heavyweight fighting in that division, because with the heavyweight division is the only division where it's not hypothetical, right? They can fight, literally anybody that wants to fight at heavyweight can fight at heavyweight no matter how much they weigh. There's no rule saying you got to weigh 200 pounds. People typically people aren't crazy and aren't going to go fight up there unless they are the size of those guys. But the pound for pound, whole pound for pound title, because that's what it was a title, not a list originally, was given to Sugar Ray Robinson because he was the best all-around fighter in boxing, or a lot of people thought that he was the best all-around fighter in boxing, and he couldn't fight at heavyweight. He wasn't big enough to compete with those guys to prove that he was the best in boxing. I'm a very old school guy, so I believe that the best fighters in boxing are the heavyweights, because they can beat everybody. And if you can't beat them, hey, if you believe that you're better than the heavyweights, do like Roy Jones Jr., go up there from 154 pounds, 160 pounds, and challenge them to prove you're better than them. As far as the pound for pound thing goes, though, that's just not my thing with them. However, I understand that has changed and a lot of people want to put him on the list. But when you look at Alexander Usyk and what he's done, I don't get why he would pass Errol Spence Jr., Terence Crawford, but not pass up Canelo Alvarez. Pretty much any argument that you can make for why he would be higher pound for pound than Errol Spence or Terence Crawford also goes for Canelo Alvarez, with one grand exception. There's actually a better argument that he should pass up Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez popped dirty for performance-enhancing drugs, and you don't even know if he's real. But I don't think that he should. Even in the scenario where you put heavyweights on there, I still don't think he should pass up Terence Crawford, because Alexander Usyk, if you look, you can look at the resumes, you can look at the titles, and he's now got three belts in his second weight class, right? So he won, he was an undisputed champion at cruiserweight, and where there really was nobody at cruiserweight. Not a lot of fighters at cruiserweight. There's Bradis that is there, Gassiev is there, Dorticos is there, Andrew Tabiti is there, but it's just not a very big or very deep weight class. But granted that he did get the undisputed there, and then he had a couple so-so fights at heavyweight, and he beats Anthony Joshua. My problem with him passing up Terence Crawford is that Anthony Joshua is not that good a fighter, just period. Anthony Joshua had 3 of the belts, but Anthony Joshua had 3 of the belts because Anthony Joshua was a media machine, media made hype job. Now, a whole bunch of people for a whole lot of years, for several years, when I would say that, would be like, oh, Fanon, you're wrong. AJ's the best. AJ's the best. But if you look at AJ's, as they like to point out, look at AJ's resume. AJ lost. He had 2 wins before he lost to Alexander Usyk, but he got knocked out the fight before that by Andy Ruiz. So, in my opinion, Alexander Usyk beat a guy that was already very beatable because he had already been knocked out by a guy that was a lower ranking heavyweight. Now, if Alexander Usyk was to beat Deontay Wilder, or if Alexander Usyk was to beat Tyson Fury, then I might say something. Then it might, I might put a little bit extra on that. But I don't, okay? Because he beat Anthony Joshua. And if you ask me, there's several heavyweights that can beat Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua has already been exposed, man. So I don't get why you would move him. For the life of me, wouldn't move him in front of Terence Crawford. And honestly, I wouldn't put him in front of Errol Spence Jr. because when you look at the competition that Errol Spence Jr. has fought at 147, which is one of the deepest weight divisions there are, he has beaten the top guys. Other than Terence Crawford, who he's not fought yet, he's beaten the top guys in the division. Guys that are guys that have legitimately proven that they were top-notch fighters. And Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, he beat Kell Brook, right? Mikey Garcia was a pound-for-pound fighter, a pound-for-pound fighter that moved up. It's just a better crop of fighters that Errol Spence Jr. has beaten than Alexander Usyk has beaten. Terence Crawford, I would say that maybe not Terence Crawford. He has, but I think Terence Crawford has probably fought, as with the exception of 1 win with Anthony Joshua, I think Terence Crawford has fought as better competition than Alexander Usyk. And on top of it, he's never had a fight where he's looked funny. Because Alexander Usyk, quite honestly, man, did not look that good with Derek Chisora. He really didn't look that impressive. He wound up getting the stoppage on Chaz Witherspoon, but it was like, I thought he should have dominated those guys. Now, again, I'm not going to say that I don't see the logic behind having Alexander Usyk very high on a pound-for-pound list, but why isn't he ahead of Canelo Alvarez? If he's ahead of everybody else, he should be ahead of Canelo Alvarez too, because Canelo Alvarez has never done a lot of the things that Alexander Usyk is going to get credit for. He's never unified a division. He very well made a unified division in his next fight, but he's not done that. But also Canelo Alvarez has passed up opportunities to unify, like and there are several fighters that Canelo Alvarez has avoided fighting. And plus, the guy's tested for positive for performance-enhancing drugs. So I just, I don't agree. Even though I will say, man, and I got to make sure that this is very clear, I do not believe that Alexander Usyk is some overrated fighter. If anything, I think Alexander Usyk might be underrated as far as what people thought about his skills, or at least he was underrated before. Now I'm not so sure. You got people ranking him higher than Deontay Wilder as a heavyweight. I know those belts are there, but come on, man. There are so many belts in boxing that it doesn't mean just because. Matter of fact, Alexander Usyk's got 3 belts. Tyson Fury only has 1. Why wouldn't Alexander Usyk be ahead of Tyson Fury for the 3 belts, right? It's because Anthony Joshua had lost when he had those 3 belts. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. I know there's a lot of people that want to agree with me. And honestly, if you don't agree with me, I think there might be good reasons for you not to. But that's just my opinion on it. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.